Hi, this is Harshvardhan Kapoor. You're watching me on the Box Office India YouTube channel. Please don't forget to watch my film Bhavesh Joshi Superhero on the 1st of June. So this began in 2012. I had returned from college where I studied writing and acting for 4 years, and then had been in touch with Vikram since Udan. I'd seen it when I was very young. I'd really liked the film. I'd been in touch with Anurag and Vikram, used to talk to them quite frequently. So I went to Vikram's office one day and I was talking about something that I had, like an experience that I'd had with a story that I had written. And while I was talking, he kind of had an idea, when he kind of heard me talking, because I get a little passionate sometimes when I talk. And then he said to Vikas and Anurag, what if we auditioned Harsh for Bhavesh Joshi?
This is way before Mirzia.
This is way before Mirzia. This is before Lutera released.
Okay.
This is in 2012. And then he told me that I'm making my next film after Lutera. It's called Bhavesh Joshi. Why don't you audition for it? So I said, I've just come back. I don't know if I'm ready to start doing auditions and such. I don't know if I feel ready as an actor. So he said to me, he said that with the kind of relationship that we have, if I feel like you need to improve on certain things, I can be very honest with you and tell you. So let's do that. Why don't you just take the scenes, read them and see what you think. I took the scenes, I read them, I loved them, I fell in love with it. And then I basically became really determined to make it my first film.
Right.
So I started preparing for the audition. Then eventually I went to Mukesh Chabda and Vikram and I did an audition. So Vikram said, you're really good, but you're too raw because you don't have any film experience, obviously. And the character was quite different at that time, and it's when you see the film you realize that it's not an easy role to play at all, So he said, why don't you do some work and come back later and we'll work on something else. Then I think they signed Imran Khan at that time, 6 years ago now. And then in 2013 I was signed for the Rakesh Mehra film. And then I kept reaching out to Vikram because that script was amazing. I really thought that it could be something really phenomenal, the best film of his career for sure. And it was just a great role for a young actor. You'll kind of learn more about that when you see the film. But for some reason or the other, the film kept getting stalled, or actors kept leaving the film, or the producers kept changing the cast or whatever. So first Imran wanted to do it, was supposed to do it, but they needed a 25 odd crore budget at that time, 20 crore budget at that time. They couldn't raise the money. So that didn't work out. Then the government changed. Then they got Siddharth Malhotra on board. Then he decided to kind of go do something else or whatever. So that didn't work out. And then I kept reaching out to him in this process. So I reached out to him after the whole Imran thing happened. Then they cast Sid because I was busy with Mirzia also at the time. And then I reached out to him finally in 2016 again. And I said, I still want to do it. And he said, why don't you show me some rushes from Mirzia, because we had completed the shoot. And I said, how can I do that? Yeah, it's not even a lineup right now. It's just like footage that's dumped onto a computer. So he said, show it to me, show it to me. So I called Rakesh and I said, you have to show it to him because I really want to do, I've always wanted to do this film. And then he went over to Rakesh sir's office. He saw the rushes and then he called and he said that, let's make the film. And that's how it happened. So if I didn't do Mirzia, I would not have been able to do this. Because what happens when you do such an elaborate film as an actor, Mirzia again, which is quite different. You start learning how to take camera, you know what it's like to be on a movie set. You just become more comfortable and more confident with your craft. So after spending so much time with Rakesh Mehra and Gulzar, there was a lot of growth, I think, and I kind of kept getting better through the shoot also of Bhavesh Joshi. So yeah, whatever's meant to happen happens, I believe that. So I took a very long time to get out of Mirzia. One, because I spent so much time working on it and we all did work really hard. I mean, whether the film is a polarizing one, so either you get into it and really enjoy it for what it is, or you just don't like it. But you can't deny that the ambition and the effort is it's insane, So I killed myself to make that film possible. Yeah, I went from being a guy that's never been on a horse to somebody that's like galloping around without hands and shooting arrows, and learned how to play polo, changed the way that I looked. I didn't leave any stone unturned. And after it all, and I changed the way I look. I grew my hair. So, and that too at such a young age, so it was kind of like falling in love for the first time. Then you get your heart broken. It's very difficult to recover. So it took me some time. But the good thing was that I started shooting Bhavesh Joshi before Mirzia released. Started shooting it in June 2016. So we shot until September. I went to promote the film. The film came out, and then in November I went back. So in a way it helped, not being just like sitting around. So it took me time. Vikram really helped. So, and then eventually got into it. The script is such a good one because it comes from a very personal place. It is reflective of a lot of things that have happened to Vikram in his own life. Whether it's small things like he's a guy that's grown up in cars. So there was this one guy who used to always drive into the no entry, like in a one way. It used to really upset him. So then he went to get his passport made, Vikram, at one point, and they used to keep like sending him from the police station to the beat jockey to the passport office. It was just like sending him around, So those things kind of really frustrated him, and it's just like living in Bombay for so long. There are a lot of things that frustrate all of us, But what happens is you become complacent, you get used to it. You feel like, oh, this is the way that it is, and this is the way everybody is. So now I should also kind of be the same. And then, like, for example, you go abroad for a couple of months, and I'm not saying that they don't have problems, they have their own set of problems, but you come back, and then for the first couple of days, you're like, oh my god, this place is disorganized, this is chaos, but then 4 days later, for some reason, you're back to the person that you were before you left, so the film kind of explores that, and this is about a guy that is desperate to do the right thing. So it's kind of like a fantasy in a way, it's like we've all had that feeling when, you're like driving a car in Bombay and there's a red light, but somebody's constantly honking, and you're like, dude, what are you doing here? You wish you could put on a mask and take a stick and just like whack him, So I think that the film is inspired by that real feeling, that emotion, because we have the potential to be one of the greatest metropolitan cities in the world, but we lack in infrastructure, we lack in organization, we lack in planning, and that's mainly a lot is due to corruption, and we're a city that's always kind of pulled back from that, and a nation. So the film kind of explores those things. Very tough, very, very tough. He's very demanding. So Shooter, I've not just done a Vikramaditya Motwani film, I've done Vikramaditya Motwani's most ambitious film. So, Trapped, they shot in like 20 days, Udaan must have been 30-35 days, I shot with him for almost 90 days. So, it was tough. It's not just a physically strenuous film, it's also a very emotionally demanding film. So sometimes you have action films that are just all out masala entertainers and you really have to focus on that. And sometimes you have dramas like Trapped maybe, which is all about the performance, but this is a combination of both those worlds. And he doesn't settle for anything but your absolute best. So when you leave set every day, you feel completely exhausted because he takes everything that you have, and still never tells you that it's good enough. So you keep pushing and pushing and pushing to a point where then you're like, I'm tired, And then what happens when you're tired is you stop thinking, right? So you're not conscious anymore because you're so exhausted. You're like, I'll just do what... And then it becomes real, it becomes natural. So I'll give you an example. There are these shots in the trailer where you see me punching this metal surface. So that's actually metal. So I told the ADs, like, why are you doing this to me? It's hurting me. I'm getting hurt. They're like, he wants to see the pain on your face. He wants you to feel like that. There are other examples, like we were doing some dojo sequences on the terrace of the Tulip Star. And it's an abandoned hotel, right? So it's not been serviced or taken care of in very long. So I slipped and I scraped my entire forearm and my lower back. And then after that, I had to go punch the fridge. And I said, can you cover this up? And they said, no, because of continuity, we can't do it. So I went with that wound and he wants you to feel like you're really in that situation, So like what you see is what you get. It's not like a set where an actor feels like, G and sir, you're one of the crew. So it's good. It's good in a way. No, I think that this is like a lot of people when the teaser came out, not the trailer, the teaser, because the teaser didn't give away very much. They were like, oh, this is like that, this is like that. The thing is when you see the film, it's actually not like anything you've seen because it's from Vikramaditya Motwani's head. It's not like drawing from here or drawing from there. It's very personal to him. So whether it turns out to be a genre breaker, I don't know. That depends. If people like it only, then it kind of becomes that, But the attempt is to do something very real. In a sense where you feel like you could also be Bhavesh Joshi. Like we have the idea of Bhavesh Joshi Superhero is that there is a hero within all of us. And it's the choices that we make that define us, And so people are really misunderstanding that term. And Bhavesh Joshi is a very common name, which is very intentional, So it's like Aam Aadmi Superhero in a way. But in terms of his treatment, it's very different, because he is brilliant at visually portraying things, in any of his films with limited resources, So you'll see some sequences in this film in terms of action that you've never seen before in a sub 20 crore budget. Because he's used to working on 2, 3, 4 crore budgets and making great films. So yeah, it's cool. I hope it does something for the genre. It's very difficult to generalize the youth because we all come from different socio-economic backgrounds. So I feel like people that are extremely privileged, like myself, can tend to be a little more laid back But I think people that are, the middle class and that are really in the world, they face different problems than what I would face, So I feel that they still really care, and they still really fight and they want things to change. So I feel that the film will reach them, which is why I believe that this is not just an A-center film. I truly believe that post-release, once, people see the film, because the emotion in the film is very universal. So I hope that it catches on even in the smaller cities, with the youth and stuff like that. He's a he's a middle-class guy, I would say. He's, he's a guy from like Goregaon, basically. And so what we did is, I left my house, I stopped living at home. Me and my co-star who plays my roommate in the film, the production rented us an apartment in Shastri Nagar. So for about 3 months I didn't go home, which I think really helped, because I was living in a very basic kind of way. Plus I was living with him, which brought us a lot closer. So even if you see the trailer, it starts with the three of us. And then we're together through most of the trailer. So that kind of led to a lot of bonding, and when you see us on screen, it feels like we've been friends for a long time. So that helped, and also just shooting. I mean, this is a film that captures Bombay in its entirety. I mean, we've shot from slums in Dharavi to the finest restaurants in Lower Parel like Bombay Canteen, to India Bulls buildings in Lower Parel where the finest offices are, to having my face on the carpet of Tulip Star, which nobody's cleaned for, 20 years, at least for the whole day. So it's at basements, we've shot everywhere. The only outdoor we had was Karjat. That's as far as we went, So when you shoot in those places, it makes you feel like that, So there's no sets or green screen. So yeah. So we really wanted to release the film on May 25th for a very long time. The idea behind May was also that the film deals with the water mafia, and we wanted to release the film in peak summer when people kind of face these problems and all of that stuff. So May 25th was always the date. Couple of things happened. One, we only released our trailer on 2nd of May. And we could not get our music out for creative reasons until the 16th or 17th. Chavan Prash came out. So that was too short a window to kind of put out all this other great material. Like we released Tafri yesterday. We have Kasam coming out, our dialogue action cuts. And we couldn't really build a promotional campaign. One. Two is, that when you release a film overseas, you have to send the DCP 10 days in advance, which Vikram was not ready with. So we couldn't that. Then we didn't think Parmanu was going to release. 3. 4, we had no idea for some reason about Star Wars until the very end. And we didn't expect Razi to become such a big blockbuster. So when and then Deadpool was there in its second weekend, Bucket List was there. So it just became a terrible weekend to release a film because it was so crowded. People had Deadpool, Razi, they had Star Wars, they had IPL, final and semi-final, Bucket List. And then we felt that we could promote the film a lot more. So it was a very difficult decision. And then we thought about a lot of dates. We thought June 8th, but then we were like, Race comes out on 15th, so it's going to be very hard to keep screens. We thought about 22nd, but it's the worst date because you're between the two biggest films of the year. So that was not an option. Then we thought about July 6th, but then we were like, we've already started our campaign, so we started our spend, so we can't, and people have really loved the trailer. So, we don't want to make them wait that long. So the only option that we saw was June 1st. And, it's actually a really good date, to be honest, because all the other films have filtered out and the IPL is over. And but then the whole Veeredi wedding thing was there. But, it's actually they're two completely different kinds of films. You can see that one is a comedy about friends and female bonding, and one is an action vigilante drama. And it's not like we're big Salman, Shah Rukh Khan films. We'll need 1,000 screens max. And I don't know how many screens they'll need, but I don't think it's going to be that wide either. So there's more than enough space for both. As you know, Solo Friday is always good. But me being a new actor and us...
For anyone, it's pretty difficult to
get a Solo Friday. Me being a new actor and Vikram also being it's only his 4th film, it's very difficult for us to command that Solo Friday. So we knew we were always going to be up against something. So at the end of the day, I think it's a great date. I think June 1st has historically been a very good date post IPL, and schools and colleges are still closed. People still want to go out and see films, and we got 2 weeks until the biggie. So if people do like the film, then we have got a nice 2-week window for both the films. So pretty relaxed about it. So I'm doing the Abhinav Bindra biopic that I signed in October 2016. For some reason, all my films take 5 years to make. So now November we start the shoot. So July I start the prep. So I've already spent a lot of time with Abhinav. Kannan Nayyar, who made Ek Thi Dayan, is director. Abhay Khurana, who wrote Bhavesh Joshi, is writer. And it's greatly inspired from the book, A Shorter History, My Obsessive Journey to Gold. And it's a very different, again, it's super different it's not a typical Hindi biopic where it's a rags to riches story. Because Abhinav himself has grown up an extremely wealthy guy. So the conflicts and all of that in the stuff in the film are very, very different. So it's going to be a whole journey. I'm going to have to learn how to shoot. I'm playing him from 15 years of age to 35, so there's going to be 2 decades. So there are going to be many different looks. We're going to shoot all over the place. We're going to shoot in Rio, Beijing, Athens. So that film is a whole journey. My dad's in that film. He's playing my father. And it should release in the winter of 2019. And then I will want to do a horror film. So I want to work with Osham Aluwalia, who's the director of Daddy and Miss Lovely. So hopefully something works out there. I really want to do it, but I need to be inspired. So if somebody gives me a good script where it has all of the elements, then I'll definitely do it. But I haven't got that chance really, to be honest. I don't know why. Maybe because I've done Mirza and Bhavesh Joshi, people think I don't want to do it. But I'm dying to do a romantic comedy. And in Bhavesh, there are elements of that. And that's actually what comes to me most naturally, But I'm not going to do like like suddenly we like breaking into song and dance. Like a really serious scene, and then suddenly it's like, I just don't believe it, so I can't do anything that I don't believe in. It's my problem, so I need to work on it. But I would love to do something like Delhi Belly would be great, something like that. That's a comedy. But I'm looking for lighter material now because all these parts have become really intense. So I'm on the lookout for it.